Yeah.
Hey, do you know if I would assume that one of the 10 teams that interviewed him was the Skins?
Yeah. Oh, Bruce Allen said it.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
they
do
definitely
you have
interviewed him. And the scouts, I talked to scouts after all their interviews, and there was I didn't hear that specifically about Kyler.
You didn't?
No.
Well, what
that
did you
doesn't
hear?
mean it didn't happen. Maybe the guys I talked to didn't say it.
Did you hear anything positive or negative or anything? Did you hear anything at all? Any response?
The Skins love Kyler Murray. Love him.
Oh, they do.
And if he doesn't go one, it wouldn't shock me at all if they were in the conversation trying to get up into the top 5 to make a run at him. I think Charlie laid out the case for you that the Jets would be looking to move down. I think Kyler's going 1. So I don't think much of the conversation matters. I think we're going to move on to trying to get Josh Rosen, honestly. But I think the Skins would certainly be in the mix. I just don't know that they can come up with a package good enough.
Yeah.
JP, let's talk about Rosen then for a second. I think it was you that retweeted maybe a list of quarterbacks that had a Pro Football Focus rating of 60 or below, whatever. In their first year, Rosen was one of those guys. Now, there were some good players in there, certainly. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Well, Jared Goff
was an example, right? It turned around. There are a few others that have had solid careers, certainly. But then there are a bunch, the Christian Ponders of the world, that just never panned out. That's my big question is how do we know? I mean, the preponderance of the names were more Christian Ponderish than they were Jared Goff. Yeah.
Let's say there were 10, 15 names on the list.
Yeah.
12 or 13 of them were terrible.
Right. And that's a knock for me. I know the team was poop. They didn't have a great offensive coordinator or whatever. We didn't like the system. The coach didn't work. I know all that, but still a knock.
Totally. I think kind of how the Kirk Cousins situation got at the end, that he delivered performances that backed up whatever you thought. So if you thought he wasn't good enough and didn't deliver in the clutch, then he delivered that. If you thought he was good and the team around him wasn't good enough, that was true also. I kind of think that's similar to the Josh Rosen situation. If you think he has a ton of talent and just needs to be in the right situation, that's true. If you think he's trash and what we saw in Arizona was the reality, that's also true right now. So, that list was as damning as it gets for Rosen. But I also retweeted something from Warren Sharp that laid out all of the reasons why you shouldn't be giving up on Rosen yet. I mean, they fired their offense coordinator midway through the season. They had the worst offensive line, I believe, ever graded out by Pro Football Focus the last 4 games of the year. They went up against more top 10 scoring defenses than any other quarterback did in the NFL. Yet at the same time, you're talking about a guy in the modern NFL who averaged less than 170 yards passing per game. I mean, fans were getting frustrated with Alex Smith in the 200-yard passing games. Imagine what happens when this guy comes in and you get 150.
Right.
So it's where I'm at with Rosen is talent evaluators will tell you he would be probably the 3rd best quarterback in this class, maybe higher depending on, Murray can be a little polarizing. Some folks like Drew Lock, but he would undoubtedly be a first-round pick in this year's draft. I think because of the salary cap situation the Redskins are in with the money they owe to Alex Smith, if you're able to get Rosen and not give up the 15th overall pick where you have a chance at a real playmaker, either on the defensive side of the ball or elsewhere on offense, I think if you can get Rosen the money that you'll have to pay him, considering the salary cap situation you put yourselves into with the Alex Smith injury and contract, it just makes a ton of sense. To me, it's almost this simple. Would you rather have Rosen at $3 million, or would you rather have Ryan Fitzpatrick at $3 million? I mean, you're going to have Fitz on a 1-year deal, just kind of a placeholder competing with Colt, or you have a kid with potential that you control for 3 years, possibly a 4th if you decide to exercise the team option, and you will have to give up assets. But I think there is some sense of irony in the world that one of those assets is going to be the compensation pick they got from Kirk Cousins walking in free agency.